Are you ready to stop the self-sabotage and create the life you desire? Well, in order for that to happen, you need to break free from the bad beliefs that are holding your success hostage. You need to optimize the stress by turning it into extra energy for success. And those hurtful habits? Well, we need to give that pain a purpose for progress. Welcome to Stop the Self Sabotage and Create the Life You Desire podcast. Do you know what it looks like when your feet swell when you're my age? Well, all the wrinkles in your feet smooth out and you look like you're walking around on two shoe boxes. You've got rectangular things at the end of your legs instead of actual feet. That's how mine looked this past Tuesday when I got out of the car on what would have been a 12-hour road trip that actually turned into 13 and a half. Now, was it the fact that it took too long to get home from visiting my mom down in Florida? Yeah. Was it because of all the trail mix that I had consumed while we were on the road? Because when you're trying to get home, you don't necessarily want to have to stop. Yes. Could it have been the extreme stress that I was under because a semi truck in front of us out on the back roads of Tennessee blew a tire right in front of us, and the shrapnel from it actually took out the front half of my bumper and the grill on my car, and we were lucky that that was the only damage that we had. Yeah, the swelling I was experiencing could have definitely been attributed to that. Well, what does all of this have to do with you and how you end your day, how you set yourself up for success for the next day? That's what we're going to cover in When Life Subtracts from Your Quality Account. You're going to have to add back into it. What do I mean by quality account? I want you to think of a bank account. Could be savings, could be checking, and you're making deposits into it. But let's say something comes along and it overdraws your account. You don't have enough to cover it. Well, that's the same thing that we can experience in life when a situation comes along that's going to be completely unexpected, like coming back from a few days vacation down at my mom's. And again, we're out in the middle of nowhere. This truck tire explodes. The pieces of it hit the front of my car, and luckily, Drew was driving with all his expertise of being a former race car driver. He did not lose control, but it took out half of my bumper, half of my grill, and what was hanging down had to be zip tied back in place so we could get home. It was incredibly stressful. But yet, that's not how our trip ended up. It was supposed to be a 12-hour trip back home. It wound up turning into 13 and a half hours because of having to stop and try to figure out how to make repairs on this. So we're 6 hours into a 13 and a half hour trip, and you will hear people say, well, how you start your day is the most important thing. No, how you start your day lays the foundation, but how you finish your day will determine your fulfillment. So you've got this quality of life account, and how you finish your day, how you finish the end of your work day, how you finish the end of a trip, how you finish the end of your day as you're falling asleep is going to determine whether or not your mind experienced satisfaction, and it will actually lay the foundations of your fulfillment for the next day. Are you making deposits into your quality of life account? So this was pretty intense on our trip. We could have spent the rest of our time going home bitching, moaning, whining, and complaining about what just happened, and we were victims, and oh my gosh, what is the insurance company going to say about this? And looking at it from all the painful angles. But instead, it was, okay, let's look at our blessings. Some people call them gratitudes. I have a challenge with with people talking about, oh, I'm so grateful, simply because I see a lot of people using gratitude as whipped cream on a pile of poop. You still got the pile of poop underneath that's going to have to be dealt with. But if done correctly, that pile of poop can be fertilizer for your garden of growth. So remember, when life subtracts, you have to add. All right. So instead, I look at blessings. And it's interesting when you go back to the original meaning of the word blessing. One of the many meanings of it is to see the truth, which is the reason why we can pray for our enemies to be blessed. It's for them to be able to see the truth, not necessarily our way, but a way that's going to be beneficial for them. Okay, so I counted my blessings right after the accident, and that was adding now to my quality of life account. Yes, now I'm going to have to pay a deductible. But you know what? The truth of it is the deductible is going to be probably thousands of dollars less than what the true repairs are going to be. Blessed that it glanced off the front right of the car instead of coming through the windshield and doing who knows what bodily damage. Blessed as in seeing the truth that the airbags did not deploy, because if they did, then we wouldn't have been able to drive the car home at all. So there was a lot of truth to what happened, as far as it could have been so much worse. This is when you bring in what's known as the law of contrast and say, let's look at where we're at now. It's a stinky situation, but it could have been worse. And then after that, what else was going to add to my quality of life account? Well, going down to my mom's, we had listened to some books on tape that were humorous, that were some funny stories. And even though I did not feel like it, that's exactly what we did. Because if my feelings tell me what's going to be deposited into my quality of life account, it's going to be very little. First, it's going to be my focus, because once I choose my focus, my feelings then are going to have to stay in integrity. They're going to have to stay congruent with my focus. So you can't allow your feelings to tell you how you're going to operate your life, because you're going to get triggered all over the place. So my focus was, let's put on these fun stories. We didn't finish the various chapters of this book. And so we spent 2-3 hours listening to funny stories, which by the time that concluded, we were in a much better mood. Because first there's focus, then there's feelings, and then there's going to be actions that have to be congruent with the feelings. So even though it took us so much longer to get home, the conversation was uplifting. We were excited. Hey, what are we going to do when we get home? Instead of being drained at the end of the vacation, it was, oh, we're so glad to be here. Let's get everything put back in its place. What shows did we record that we now want to watch? And so by the time we ended our day, we were feeling great. Now, let's look at the end of your day. And here's 3 questions you can ask yourself. By the way, these are not my questions. I was taught these questions somewhere along the line. What are the 3 questions you can ask yourself now to put yourself in a state of adding to your quality of life? What did I enjoy? What did I learn? And what do I want more of tomorrow? These are the 3 questions that will have you reviewing your day, whatever you're concluding and coming to the end of, and then making those deposits to your account so that when something comes along that will require a large withdrawal, you're going to have enough in there for it to happen and not completely deplete you and overdraw you. Okay, what can assist you with this? Go to drewdawnferguson.com/SH, stands for self-hypnosis, where you will learn how to put yourself into a state of suggestion to be able to upgrade your focus, your feelings, and your actions to be ones of progress, and that when pain shows up, you know how to turn it in a way that is actually going to produce the quality life you desire. So until we get together again, when life subtracts, you have to add.